Well, Phil, first time we've had a chance to speak. Well, first of all, since you agreed the new deal, really, face to face, you must have been pleased to get that sorted early, because obviously it impacts on your summer, otherwise.
I think it's been pieced together quite nicely, Trevor, to tell you the truth. And what I mean by that is, I think I've said this club's always been a very well-run club, good group of people. You know, the people that work here care about the club. There's no doubt about it. And it was always a case of, if I was motivated from a football perspective, I would re-sign. It's not just, you don't just sign with good people or for good people. You have to be motivated that you can still possibly achieve something. I'm long in the tooth. A lot of people say probably too long in the tooth, but I disagree. I'm waking up with bags of energy every morning. I'm desperate to get on the training ground with the group of players that we've got at the moment. Hopefully that's going to be bolstered in the next couple of weeks with new signings, etc., etc. We're putting together systems and protocols and a way of working, and it's going to come together in 6 weeks, 2 months before the season starts, with regards to fitness levels, with regards to tactics, technically, the whole picture, shall we say, is slowly but surely being pieced together. My old chief scout and Bob Shaw is coming to Kidderminster to work with us and doing the odd game and this, that and the other. And Bob's 77-year-old, and he'll not be thanking me for telling you that. But at the same time, he absolutely loves coming to training grounds and seeing how things are working and what can he do to improve and this, that and the other. And Bob always says it's the pre-season is almost like a jigsaw that's never finished. It's a picture that's never finished, and it's so true. And the further down you come, when you've got transfer windows higher up and people that can trade and can't trade, we're trading all the way through. So at any one given time, a player can leave the football club and we've got to have a replacement ready. So the size of the squad is going to be important, the numbers that we bring in, but more importantly the quality that we bring in. But the most important part for me was getting the backroom staff resolved, because there was one or two issues that we had that we could have or we couldn't have, and obviously when you get relegated you're going to take a hit where finances are concerned. I've accepted all that, and consequently the challenge is to get promoted. It's as simple as it gets, and that's the reason why I'm standing here talking to you. Having signed the contract, the reason why I've signed the contract is because I believe in the club, I believe in the chairman, I believe in the people who come to this club. I believe that we can get promoted this year, and that's the challenge that we've got to put together. But it's arduous, it's tedious, it's hard work at the moment, because nobody sees the hard work. All they see is, well, we haven't signed anybody yet, and where's that next signing, where's the new signing, what's this manager doing, what's he, is he sitting on his backside and not doing anything? That's not the case. Matt will tell you, it's you're doing the hard yards at the moment. You're doing the stuff away from the football club that is arduous, it's tedious, it's time consuming, and there's no end product at the moment. But I'll guarantee the Kidderminster Harriers supporters there will be an end product soon.
Generally there are two parts to it. It's retention and recruitment, keeping the ones you want to keep, and then obviously bringing in some new faces. Let's talk about retention. Were you happy, broadly speaking, with how that went?
Yes, I think the re-signing of Christian Dibble was an important part. He was probably, outside of the top goalkeeper at Barnet. He had the most number of clean sheets in the National League, and to re-sign that kind of quality in a division below was music to my ears. It was a no-brainer. I know his father very well. I know Christian's got probably a few miles to travel, but he's such a professional. He's first class. He's first on the training ground, last off. He works within the group of players, and I know we're going to talk about the other goalkeepers and what Palms has done, and I think that's important. I think it's an important step in the right direction for the goalkeepers union, and that we have a goalkeeping coach that is actually still challenging the number one for the number one position. And a lot of people have phoned me up and asked, how does that work? And it's a good challenge for Tom Palmer. Tom Palmer actually loves coaching. He loves the football club. but he wants to be number one, and I think it's fantastic. That doesn't mean to say he's going to, renege on his duties with regards to improving Christian Dibble or Josh Bishop. I think it's a good part of the jigsaw that has been pieced together, and I can say that part of the jigsaw is finished. But the rest of it, then, you're talking about. I have always done pre-seasons or off seasons and built from the back. The beauty of Kidderminster Harriers is if we've got something like, could be any 2 or 3 strikers from 7 or 8. So we probably have to relieve the duties financially with regards to 1 or 2, and wheel and deal where that's concerned. But that's going to be during the course of pre-season, etc., etc. But I've always pieced the jigsaw from the back, and I'm trying to get a back 4 stroke back 5, depending on what the signings are going to be, and try and put that together so that you've got the foundations in place. And the re-signing of Alex Penny was absolute paramount as far as I'm concerned. I think Alex went across to America. He had an opportunity to go across there. I think his missus is from over there, and there was a distinct possibility that we were going to lose him. But the powers that be have worked, the oracle, if you like, they've worked very well behind the scenes with Zoom calls, etc., because of, Alex is across the pond, as it were. But when he's almost put pen to paper, and it's probably 99%. I'm absolutely delighted with that. I think he's probably one of the better players in the National League, let alone in the National League North. So that's key. That's important. We're talking to a centre half who knows the football club, who lives in the area. We're talking to him today, and he's hopefully going to pass a medical and a fitness test, which again is another part of the protocol that we've put in place, and that'll be fingers crossed announced over the next 48 hours that we've got a signing. But I'm talking about people like Ashley Hemmings in the National League, again ticking all the boxes, figures wise, numbers wise, goals, assists, etc., and he's going down a division again, of which he ticked all the boxes before. So the re-signing of Ashley Hemmings was again paramount importance, and Amari Morgan-Smith. So the retention side of it I've been delighted with. The recruitment side of it is tedious. That's the slow part, and unfortunately, as I say, we've got enough experience in the background to not be worried at the moment, not concerned. We know the players will come, and they'll be available, and we will have the budget for them, and we're just waiting for them players to just say yes.
In terms of the front players, I suppose Harriers' problem over the last couple of seasons probably has been scoring goals. Absolutely. Even in the promotion season, they didn't score a bucketful, and obviously it was an issue last season, as we all know. Do you accept that some fans will think, we kept the same striking force there, really, who haven't pulled up too many trees in the last 2 years, and that might be a concern for fans? I
do. I accept that 100%. I like Amari Morgan-Smith's work rate. I like his tenacity. I like the fact that he gets in the face of the opposition, and it never makes it an easy game for a centre half. But I want to try and add to that, and I want to put a striker alongside him. That's going to enhance that. That's going to complement that, and also get in the 6-yard box. I think we didn't get enough people in the 6-yard box or even in the final third, if you like. I think there's enough quality coming in. I think Ashley Hemmings provides that. I think Jack Lambert provides that. You've got people that are actually pulling the trigger, and nobody's putting the ball in the back of the net. So I understand what the kiddie fans are talking about, and clearly it's going to be something that I'll be working at in the next 5-6 weeks to try and put right.
You lost Shane Byrne, who obviously was an influential figure. He chose to move on, should we say. He will be a loss. Christian Pearce probably another. Yeah,
Christian Pearce was a guy that I enjoyed working with. You get to a stage in a career where you're thinking about after football, and I think Christian's sort of one step down the line with regards to, or even 2 steps down the line with regards to coaching. I did offer him a position as a player coach. But if I go back to my own experiences when Sam offered me that, and your wages drop and you're working 25 hours a day, it's one of them where Christian didn't quite think that was for him at this moment in time, and he wanted to continue playing and concentrate on the playing, and I couldn't promise him that. I wanted a coach. I wanted a player coach that I could use possibly on the field of play every so often, but not every week. and I think that's where Chief saw his career. So we parted our ways and shook hands, and what a great guy, and I wish him well, I really do, in his coaching career as well as his playing career. But where the skip was concerned, it was disappointing that I could only offer him a certain amount of money and it wasn't acceptable. Being full-time as well, if it had been a part-time figure, he could have accepted that, because he's electrician by trade, which again was another similarity to myself, you know, and I understood what he wanted. He wanted ambition to play full-time football and be able to cater for his family. I get all the arguments on both sides, but bottom line is, until he's sitting behind this desk as a manager, and I think he's got the potential to be a top coach, a top manager, because he's got that kind of a head. And when he's sitting behind a desk and he's having to do the same, then you realise that sometimes budgets dictate what you can do and what you can't do, and that's unfortunately what happened where Shane was concerned. So good luck to him as well.
You mentioned looking to bring in another striker. What are other areas now are you looking to strengthen in terms of your recruitment?
Well, I think the sitting midfield is a position that we need to improve on now that Shane has gone. I'm looking for a bit of experience. I'm also looking for a bit of youthful exuberance in the middle of the park, so a box-to-box player. I think Brownie blossomed under myself and Neil in that box-to-box role, but just didn't get over the line with regards to too many goals. He had chances, but just didn't get over the line. And I think the goal he scored at Chesterfield opened up not a can of worms, opened up a whole new horizon for him, I hope, you know, and a whole new thought process with regards to his own game. I think he's got the potential to get into double figures as a midfield player, but if we can get another one in there as well, and it resolves the issue that the Kidderminster Harriers fans have got of scoring goals. And by the way, as coaches, that's what we want to do as well. So they're going to be key positions, bringing in more quality in terms of the midfield. I think the defensive roles, there's not enough competition for places, but there'll be players still to leave the football club as well as bring players in. And that's not putting a threat on anything. I think we've got good players here, and I think there's managers out there that want these good players. And if we can do our business early enough to get them players out and create a little bit of space in the budget, then we might have a chance of bringing one or two more in.
You've already alluded to the fact you need to be patient. Of course, generally, the lower down the pyramid you are, the more patient you've got to be, because there are clubs in League Two trying to get sorted out, then the National League, and only then do players possibly start to come down. Presumably you've got to accept that. That's part of life now.
I'm not the most patient of men, Trevor, but the world of football has taught me to be that way, because if you don't, you lose your hair, and as you can see, I've still got a full head here, so I'm okay where that's concerned. It's patience is a virtue, and the more people say that to me, I keep on thinking, is it? But it really is. You've got to learn to live your life at the same time as manage a football team. And if I didn't, I would be a nightmare to the missus. I'd be a nightmare to my family. You have to balance that book as well. Coming into Kitty probably twice a week in the off season, I've found to be not a waste of time, because I'm still seeing smiling faces even though we got relegated, you know. I'm still seeing hope. I'm still seeing people that want to be here, want to be at the football club and want to represent it to the best of their ability, and that for me is music to my ears. But I want to try and bolster the coffers by bringing in one or two players that are also going to do that and learn from minute one what it is to play for Kidderminster Harriers, what it is to represent Kidderminster Harriers. So yes, being patient is a key issue where management's concerned at this moment in time. But I can't wait to see the players next week, or is it a couple of weeks' time, and get back on the training ground from the 1st of July with 6 weeks under our belt and maybe 5 or 6 games, and as I say, trying to piece together that jigsaw. But come the 10th of August, the jigsaw still won't be finished, the picture still won't be finished. There'll still be players out there that we want, and still be players out there that hopefully teams out there will want from us. So there'll still be wheeling and dealing to do, but as I say, that's part of my job.
Are you a fan of long-term loans, you know, from higher clubs perhaps? Or I know you obviously bring players in short-term if you get injuries and that sort of thing, but in terms of the long-term loan system, are you a fan of that side of it?
The only way I'm a fan of it is when it works, and what I mean by that is, you know, the bigger boys, I'm talking about in this area, Birmingham's, your West Broms, your Aston Villas, your Wolverhampton Wanderers, for them to, as an under-23, to expect their players to be playing, that's the part that doesn't work. We take them on loan to grow them, to enhance their careers, to give them an opportunity to men's football, as it were, with the bigger boys instead of the under-23s. Now, that's not to say the under-23s is a bad league. Under-23s is purposefully being put together so the technical side of the game can come through, the tactical side of the game can come through. And by the way, that's working big time. But for to automatically throw them into a different kind of football and expect them to swim, it's not always a successful venture, as we witnessed a couple of times last season. But you know, for them to expect them to be playing, and I'm talking about the big boys expecting us, because we're one of the minions of the smaller clubs, that's the wrong part of the game. They should let them come on loan for a month, and if they're playing or not playing, they'll know they'll be getting the right kind of treatment, they'll know they'll be getting the right kind of information, they'll know that they'll be getting coached, certainly with myself and Neil MacDonald here. And if that's the case, then we're going to grow them as people, and that'll give them a better chance of going back to their parent clubs and playing for their first team.
Our final point, you've pretty much alluded to this already actually in a conversation, but clearly Tom Palmer then is going to take on a different role this season.
Yeah, it's a different role to a certain extent, but Tom still wants to be a goalkeeper, there's no doubt about it. But I improved, there's no doubt about it, as a player when I started my coaching badges. I can't emphasise that enough to any player, regardless of what age you are. I remember a lad called Alan Thompson that came to us from Newcastle United when I was at Bolton Wanderers. And because he broke his neck as a young kid at 18, he decided to take his badges up. What a difference it made to him in his career. He understood what the coach wanted. He understood the game a little bit better. When he crossed the white line, it wasn't just about running around. It was about a tactical game of football. It was about a multicolour game of chess. There was all sorts of attributes to the game that he didn't understand, but he did because he did his coaching badges. Tom Palmer taking his coaching badges and being a coach will make him a better player, will make him a better goalkeeper, and he's probably got a better chance of being the number one this year because of it. A lot of people might think that's fairly critical of Christian Dibble for what he did this year, but Christian will know he's still in a scrap, and it won't just be Tom Palmer. I'm hoping Josh Bishop will come through as well this year. So I think the Goalkeepers Union for sure is in a good place here. That doesn't mean to say I'm not going to loan anybody out, but it certainly means that Tom Palmer is going to be a player coach at the age of 24, which is great news for him, for his career, and great news for us.
Our very last point, clearly, going into this season, there'll be an expectation, won't there really? I think come down last season,
yeah.
And you were in the scrap right until the end virtually last season, so a lot of fans will be thinking, well, Harriers have got to be up there and challenging this season, which presumably adds to the pressure, really.
Yeah, but if you look at the likes of Scunthorpe United, there's no divine right to think because of the size of the club that you're going to walk away with the league and you're going to walk away with trophies and you don't really have to show up every week. Absolute tosh, honestly. We will have a target on our back. We'll know from minute one, from the 1st of July, they'll know categorically and know in certain terms how difficult it's going to be, and that difficult part of the season when it kicks off, we'll be prepared for that. 6 weeks of hard work. The hard yards will be done behind closed doors where nobody sees it. If anybody wants to come down and watch training, they can do. It'll be difficult, and I'm hoping that players will survive it, because it'll be mental as well as physical. But come the 10th of August, we'll be ready for action, there's no doubt about it. But I may get a pleasant surprise. There might be teams down there that are playing some football. South Shields, I believe, my hometown, have been playing football all the way through, and that's the reason why they got promoted. So there'll be ways and means of winning games of football next season. Some nights it might be a case of Tuesday night in November, roll your sleeves up and get on with it. And other days it'll be glorious sunshine at Kidderminster Harriers and passing the ball about. We will be prepared, there's no doubt about it, but nobody has a divine right to win the division. Just because we're one of the bigger clubs. All we've got to realise is that the target will be growing every game that we play, that we give a good account of ourselves and win the game. The target will be getting bigger and bigger. So we'll be ready.